Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week ahead. This week, we are moving with the moon on the heels of our full moon lunar eclipse. And, I find personally that these times are, at least if we're feeling what it is to be alive in this world, some of the most vulnerable and tender and raw times that we can be living through. And a part of what happens, 3 days before an eclipse or 3 days after, and this 3 weeks before the eclipse and 3 weeks after, in this cycle of the lunation cycle, is that we're integrating the realizations. The work of that integration is happening through the emotional body, right? Evolution happens through the emotional body. So whether it's grief, whether it's lessons in our strength, in our capacities, in our discernment, whether it's something that is coming into our lives or going from our lives, we evolve through the emotional body. We evolve through being able to feel. That is what it is to be human. And feelings aren't always facts. Feelings are information for sure. They can remind us of what patterns are strong. I heard a man say earlier today that triggers which reveal the truth of a situation are there to wake us up. And when we're awake to them, we have a choice. When we're awake to our patterns, when we're awake to the truth inside of us, to our feelings, when we're awake to how out of control we are, or how deeply we long for something to change, we have more information of how we can be in relationship to that which is, right? That's all we can ever do. The future, no matter what, is always a form of unmanifested reality. And the past, no matter what, is always a function of what we are learning to forgive, but it doesn't exist anymore. That's why it's the past. And the future's unmanifested reality doesn't exist yet. That's why it's the future. So in this present moment, in this post-eclipse time, what are we doing with our minds, with our hearts, with our words, with our actions? And the true sign of integrity, whether someone really has integrity, whether we are acting with our alignment to our integrity, is do we do what we say? Do we believe what we say, and do we do it? Right? If we believe that we are lovable, that we are worthy, do we act from that worthiness, from that inherent knowing? If we have faith in a particular outcome, that's a form of belief that is assigning truth to something that has yet to be revealed. So it's essentially putting our knowing in the future that, peace will prevail, that our hearts will be met, that we will receive what we desire, whatever it is in our lives, that healing is certain. I often say this, it's one of the lines from A Course in Miracles, and faith is really something that we grow and we cultivate. And I often talk about cultivating our faith from direct experience, which doesn't mean that our faith won't be challenged, that doubt and insecurity, that confusion, or even patterns of past mistakes might emerge and remind us of where we are as opposed to where we want to be. And yet, this particular time that we're in is a threshold. We're crossing into an unknown territory in the coming months. 6 months from now, the world will be a completely different place. And maybe not so different in the way that, like, much of the world operates on the Capricorn, Saturn, mundane reality. It takes a long time for things to change and to evolve. We can see Pluto's been in Capricorn now. Around 20 years it spends in a sign. But that evolution is certain. Evolution is a process that is constant and going, and this week's main focus has to do with Mars, our will, our desires, our drive. It has a lot to do with Saturn. You know, Mars and Mercury are traveling together right now. They're also with Haumea and Lilith and Ceres, the mother goddess, in the sign of Scorpio. And we can see, you know, even of the most traumatizing and destructive images that come from war-torn areas have much to do with how war impacts mothers and children. And when, you know, we're moving in a world that is inherently filled with contradictions. Contradictions contain the same energy as the opposition, seeming irreconcilable differences, patterns of war, violence, disconnection, hurt, and harm, especially injustice towards the feminine, disrespect of the feminine, right? Of the mother, of the feminine, that which is sacred, that which is holy, that which gives birth to all life. The earth, we see what we do to the place that we call our home. What we do in terms of not only disregarding our relationship to it, being inherently disconnected from it in our busyness, in our consumption, and in our choices. And I'm not saying any of this to make you feel bad, you know. Obviously, I'm crying right from the get-go today. It's just what it is. I can't do anything about it. Because the weight of the world is heavy on my heart, you know? And yet I have this continued faith both in our capacity as awake human beings to evolve, our capacity as loving human beings to come to know ourselves as love. And sometimes my faith in humanity is blind or innocent in a way, maybe sometimes even ignorant. And yet it continues to be the roots upon which my soul grows. And it's not so much a faith in mankind, because I watch as though man chooses to destroy itself. Man chooses not to love. Man chooses not to give, not to know itself as the love that it is, but it chooses to take and to destroy and to harm and to hurt. And that has an impact, not just on the feminine. It has the impact on the man, on the woman, on the child, on the community, on the earth, on the beings, all the beings of this planet. See, the thing about the opposition, it's not really polarities, really. It is the bridge to evolution. They seem to be polarities, war and peace, right? Masculine, feminine, the parts of ourselves even that are at war, with two ways of being or two conflicting choices, the parts of ourselves that can be mistaken around our true identity, mistaken about what our true calling or our true purpose is, or confused and with doubt about how we should live and how we should love. And yet, at the same time, these seeming contradictions cannot exist except within us. And as we work to reconcile, really, we're integrating, at least in this first part of the week, through information, through evolution of our feeling body, and really facing the darkness. That's the interesting thing about the eclipse, is it can illuminate things that were in the darkness. It can bring things up from the past. It can close things, cycles and chapters. It can take things from us. And as we lose or gain in whatever way we are and we have at this time, there are lessons that are being evolved within us to bring us to another level. And this week, the moon is going to move through first through the sign of Gemini, ruled by this Scorpio Mercury with Mars there. The moon will square Venus as it moves towards the end of Gemini. And, Venus is moving this week towards her opposition with Neptune. So a deeper part of all of this is that we're learning through our vulnerability that which we love, that which is most important. And then the moon later this week moves through the Pluto polarity point, which right now is the sign of Cancer, right? Nourishment, care, protection, mother, father. Capricorn being the structures of our lives that are being evolved through this final Pluto transit, right? Which will ultimately finish up in November of next year. So a year from now, we'll be completing this whole cycle. And for sure, in a very different place than we are in this moment now. This is why in this choice to evolve, because evolution is a choice, we have the choice to resist, the choice for cooperation. I think we have the choice to surrender to grace, and we have the choice to deny our reality. We have the choice to numb or to feel. We always have a choice. We have a choice to heal. And healing doesn't always come in the ways that we want it to or wish it to, but it comes in the ways that we need. In that all human beings need to experience healing in order to evolve. And from our healed state of being, we're able to recognize the source, the roots, whether it's hurt, betrayal, abandonment, whether these are wounds from the past, from our family, from past lives, from conditions, whatever is ultimately the source of our healing is also the source of our well-being. It is also the source of our faith. It is also the source of our strength. And as we move through the Leo moon time, this Leo moon is going to square all of the Scorpio, So I think that the very purpose of our process can be in the creative expression, the creative self-actualization. Part of what I did in order to move some of the grief and emotions in my life right now As I move it to the canvas, I first move words there, and I write the truth, the realizations, the words I long to hear, the things I desire to believe. And then I paint. And I paint the images that call forward the creation, that call forward the expression of the deepest desires of my heart. And then I just continue to move the layers of emotion with color, adding to them and developing them over time. In the same way, the life then becomes an expression of the evolution of our emotional body. And as we do that, our true color is revealed. Our true calling is revealed. Our capacities are they're revealed by the very humility and commitment to our spiritual practice, to our process, to tending our creative design, really, to tending the life that we have as becoming an expression more and more every day of the deeper callings. And so obviously, if we live in a world that is a work in progress. We are human beings that are works in progress. The source of our creative power is always growing. And right now, with all this power in Scorpio, it's growing from the root chakra. It's growing from the base level, right? Scorpion transforms into Phoenix. Phoenix rises to eagle. Snake coiled at the base, Kundalini energy rises up. Roots of the tree in the ground, in the dirt, in the compost, bring nourishment that connects with the light, the sun, and the earth, and brings fruit, brings growth, brings fruition over time. Time being Saturn. Saturn stations direct this week on November 4th at 0 degrees of Pisces. And, this begins a renewal process. The Saturn path this past year has been from 0 degrees to 7 degrees, all the way back to 0 degrees. So for those of you with, early degrees, Pisces placements, early degree Saturn, or even Pluto in Virgo, you got the Saturn opposition to that Pluto. There are many of those Pluto and Virgo generation that also have the Chiron Saturn conjunction. We're all walking with very similar, in many ways, signatures over especially the generational pieces, right? Generations have the imprints upon them, not only of their ancestors, right, which would be kind of the Pluto generation as our ancestors, but also that they have the imprints of, mother, father, grandmother, grandfather. And within this time period, while we're in this liminal space this week, we're moving towards a last quarter moon, which is what we get to at the end of this week. That last quarter moon squares Mars and Ceres and all at the end of this week. And that last quarter moon, let's see, what does Jeffrey Wolf Green have to say about the last quarter moon? We're culminating a cycle in that, and a lot of what we've realized has to do with what our values are. It's a crisis that we've reached in what we value. And we have Venus right now in Virgo. She's moving towards the late degrees of Virgo. We have Juno in Virgo as well. Venus in Virgo is ruling Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, and they all are responding to this Scorpio Mercury. The last quarter phase, he says, the soul has now entered into a stage of evolutionary development where the crisis of values, the meaning of life, begins to occur. The soul will now begin to desire to expand its level of awareness in order to relate itself in a more universal sense, to leave behind the evolutionary limitations of realizing itself as a socially defined entity. So in that, we are, the bridge to evolution, that was that opposition that we experienced on the full moon eclipse. And we move from that bridge in order to the crisis that allows us to really refine and define, what am I doing with my choice? And your choice is what you do with your body, what you do with your money, what you do with your time, what you do with your heart, what you do with your words, what you do with your sexual energy, with your power, with your creative energy, with your life force, with your home, with your family, with your children, with everything that you are here to cause and create. There's something from Nakayama that I have taken forward in my life, which is the practice of waking up at cause. It means that when you wake up in the morning, you wake up at cause with intention. You set an intention for the day, because to be at choice of bringing your love into the world, to be at choice of really being in integrity, that means doing what you say and saying what you mean and being in alignment with the truth of your heart, not your mind, because the mind can easily confuse us and trick us, not your, lower vibrational energy, but the true calling of the soul. What is it to wake up and be in alignment with what your soul is calling you towards? So that crisis of values progressively moves the soul forward in evolution to close a cycle in order to do what? In order to begin to build a new evolutionary intention for living as defined not by the societal norms, not by the structures of the past, not by what is known and familiar, but to live from what is unknown, to be able to relate to a relationship in a new way. That's a part of the challenge of this square. We aren't here to do the same dance anymore, my friends. No one wants to do it anyways. We're all so miserable and tired and sick of life on planet Earth the way it has been. We're all so bursting with the desire for new experience. But what is it to experience something new? It doesn't mean necessarily new people. It doesn't mean endlessly seeking new sexual partners or new ways of being in the world. It's not about getting new clothes. It's not about getting new stuff. It's about having a new intention and a new way of living in which our choice is aligned with our heart and with the core of our soul's intention. And if we're not clear on what our soul's purpose is, if we're not clear on what our purpose is, we can definitely not trust ourselves to act in alignment. We can definitely be swayed to act in ways and to be taken by whatever Instagram ad pulls you off for the day, or whatever newfound thing captures our attention. But what Saturn does, Saturn is what is being born through us, that requires the long-term devotion and discipline. Venus says what is most true and pure and holy and the highest expression of our love. Forgiveness is often the highest expression of our love. The moon in Leo says that our creative joy and possibility is what is the illuminating factor in the light that can guide us in this next phase. Right there, I see the Hermit card. The man has the light, he has the wisdom, the illumination, and he uses that to see the path ahead. He is quiet and humble and settled within himself because he knows he has to walk his own path. He is also a light for others. She is, I would say, she is a light for others because she is guided by the truth inside of her that knows that only love is real. And that our calling in evolution is to realize that. That's what the realization is. Realization means to know. And what we come to know through our direct experience, through our prayer and through our practice, is the most powerful realizations that we can walk with. These are the truths that we can speak to. These are the emotions that can evolve our being. And there is a deeper reason for all of this, for everything that you're experiencing in your life right now. There is a deeper reason. And Scorpio and the penetrative gaze of that energy can push us to the depth of our soul's calling to know what's at the bottom of the well, what lives there, what lurks there, what seems to be evading our joy, robbing us of our peace, or taking from us our deepest desires. We want to know those blocks within us because they are ours to dismantle. We want to know those fears because they are ours to embrace and to love. We want to know the path to healing because it is ours to walk. And so much of what we do, yes, we do it together. We heal together. That is why we're called into being. I am offering a retreat, which is a deep healing retreat, the first retreat of this kind that I've ever done in this way, integrating astrology with sacred medicine, work, and prayer, and ritual and ceremony. I'll be hosting this retreat with a beautiful sister of mine here in Northern California, and you are invited and called and welcome to join me. If you want to learn more about this retreat, you want to talk with me one-on-one about what it might mean for you to come to join me in prayer and in practice. It's one night only on 11/11. We'll be in a beautiful space with the intention on this Scorpio new moon to deeply heal and release all that is here in our transformative process, in the alchemical process of healing. Everything is transmuted. Everything becomes fuel for our soul to grow, and we'll be creating together and praying together and opening our hearts and dancing and singing and swimming in the beautiful waters of life. And I hope that you'll join me, my friends. If there's something in this transmission that touched your heart, please leave it in the comments. The retreat is coming up very quickly, so if you're interested in coming, sign up this week. Have an introductory call with me if you have any questions about the ceremony, about the practice and the process. And as always, my friends, take the time, the energy, the space in this powerful time that we're in to love yourself. I heard an acronym about walking away today, which was so beautiful. And it was really the walk was walking in love for oneself, walking with our worthiness, acceptance of our lives, loving ourselves, and knowing what we're here for. WALK. I think I'm paraphrasing his thing, but I'm just giving you what I got. My friends, as you walk in this world, know that my love is with you. Until I get to see you again soon. Bye for now.